gang and volunteer. First Wellman, I'm a Navy veteran and instructor.
Wow.
I'm a student.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself, guys. Yeah, this is just a fraction of our group, really. And so, how we run the program is Tuesday evenings we'll have a virtual online lesson. Tuesday mornings we have an in-person lesson as well. So some people might come in a little later. Some people might jump on as well. So I want to introduce you to Pam Sheyne. I am so thrilled to tell you guys that I came across Pam through a podcast last year, CGO actually. I think you were on first and then I came on later and I was like, oh, a woman performer, a woman songwriter, let me listen. And I was so intrigued and I just thought, I'm just going to try to reach out to this lady. She's not going to want to talk to me, but you responded immediately. And from there, you made some connections for me and then continued anytime I would reach out and be like, hi, Pam, I know you don't really know me. And you would be like, I know you. What are you talking about? So as I was developing Heroes Encore and thinking about the strategies behind songwriting and how I really don't know anything, I turned to Pam. Pam is an award-winning songwriter, an advocate for songwriters and in the music industry. She has won several awards. She runs a songwriting camp, a plethora of talent. You're in a duo partnership music group as well, continuing to songwrite every day. And so I just want to kind of run this a little bit like a podcast, I guess, like just some questions and answers and from my end, and I hope I don't steal anybody else's questions because I'm going to turn it over to you guys a little later here. But the first thing I kind of just want to do is give you a chance to say good morning and introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm Pam Sheyne. I'm a songwriter and originally from New Zealand. Transplanted to the UK, lived in the UK for 28 years or so, and I've been in Los Angeles now for 17 years. Writing songs and continuing to do what I love and to, keep inspiring, hopefully, a younger generation of songwriters.
Great. I love that. Now, I kind of know a little bit of this history, but I want to bring the room kind of up to speed on that. First of all, could you just tell us a little bit about your childhood? Like, how was music cultivated in your life? How did you evolve into becoming that songwriter? I know there's a guitar story in there as well. Would you share that with us, please?
Sure. So I grew up the youngest of three. My parents, and this is in New Zealand in the 70s. And, my parents were very social people. They loved having friends around. They played dance. They played music, always dancing and having fun. And so music was pretty prevalent in my upbringing. Country music was actually quite big at the time. Dolly Parton, Tammy Wynette, Charlie Pride. And my father absolutely loved country music and tinkered with guitars and built guitars. And he bought me my first acoustic nylon string when I was 12 or so. Actually, it wasn't the first one because he said to me, if you learn to play the boxer with your eyes closed, because I was having guitar lessons at a very young age and singing lessons, if you learn to play that with your eyes closed, I'll buy you a new guitar. So I did. And he bought me a nylon string guitar. Soon after he passed away, and it hit me obviously very hard. I was very close to him. And I went to live in London with my brother and sister. So music was really a way of me healing and going into my inner world of creating. And I was sort of making up songs at that time, but not really. I didn't really know what songwriting was, but I loved singing, and got a job in London in the travel industry, hated it, and applied to sing in a band in a hotel, and I was there for 3 years and learned a ton of covers, played guitar and sang, and that was the beginning of my career.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that background with us. I just want to encourage you guys, if you have a chance to go to like YouTube or podcast, to go and listen to all the interviews, because the one thing I hate to do is like repeat interview questions and you have to tell the same story over and over. But I do love the story about your father and your guitar and the boxer. And I myself correlate to that just because with my own father, my guitar, my Taylor guitar, I correlate to him as well. And the song that I correlate to my father is Fire and Rain by James Taylor. And so there is something special about having that connection to my father through music. So one of the things I like to do is like in my sets when I'm performing, as my acknowledgement is to always include that song. I don't know. Is that something that you do?
No, the song is special to me, but I guess country music has become, I've just actually got back from Nashville. So we did a camp out there with American Songwriter just over a week ago, which was amazing. And I had forgotten. It was almost like I had come full circle because the songs and the people. One of our mentors used to be Dolly Parton's backing singer, and she's a dear friend. And I sometimes have to pinch myself because I've gone full circle. The music that I was listening to as a kid, I actually know somebody that was part of that. So it's pretty cool. And I got to meet the infamous Harlan Howard, who's a big writer. He's no longer with us, sadly, but I got to meet him early on in my career and talk to him, and that was really, really special. He wrote "I Fall to Pieces" for Patsy Cline, and
Wow.
a lot of amazing songs, and I got to chat with him, which is really, really, really special.
That is wonderful. I know that you have quite a resume of people that you've gotten to work with. And so I'm just going to ask you to take a moment to name drop a little bit. Who have you performed with? Who have you written with? What has that industry been like for you in terms of your work experience?
An incredible building experience, actually. The years I did just singing covers and pub gigs in London and all these sort of private functions was a real learning curve for me, and unconsciously learning, hit melodies and stories and lyrics. And it really, I had a good 10 years of being a singer. Once I left that first job, I started freelancing, and then I started doing session work, and I started doing some tours. I toured with Tom Jones. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Lulu, who's a Scottish artist in the UK, Dave Stewart, Celine Dion, Daryl Hall, Cyndi Lauper. Those were singing jobs. There were some of the people that I worked with on singing jobs, either touring. The Pet Shop Boys was my last big tour. And geez, I just applied for these, or I was recommended by people. And so it was nothing that happened overnight. Nothing ever happens overnight. It's all building on experience and meeting people.
Right. So would you say this was a matter of like you were just following your passion? You were following opportunity. You were
Absolutely.
following.
I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just following my feet on my passion. And it paid off. You know, all the hard work paid off, and I obviously saw some incredible countries and just met some amazing people, and sort of got off the back of the Pet Shop Boys tour and was, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I got divorced. It was a real crossroads in my life. And I was like, I don't want to be a backing singer for the rest of my life. I want to be an artist. I want to be up there. I want to be front and center, writing my own songs, expressing myself. And so I started writing, and pretty much, I mean, my co-worker on the Pet Shop Boys tour, on the last night of the tour in London, she said to me, "What are you going to do now?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get a publishing deal, you know, and start writing for myself." And she was like, "Okay." And she actually introduced me to a guy, and I went along and met him, and he was interested in signing me. I was one of his first signings. And I worked really, really hard and just got out writing with lots of different people, traveling to Sweden and Denmark and Germany, and just writing songs. And, you know, I wasn't paid for it. I got a little advance to keep me going for a little while, and I wasn't paid for those things, but I just got my head down and I just kept working at it. And eventually something came along. I got a number 3 in the charts in the UK, and a number 11, and a number this. And so it's, you know, it built and opened doors. Once I started having some success, opened doors and allowed me to go a little further afield to the US and write with other people, and you know, and further afield, Nashville, Los Angeles, and then started building my network in America.
So that's amazing. So you developed songwriting skills just by being immersed in it. You love listening to music, you got to hang around other artists, and you just sort of caught on. You started getting an ear for melody. So am I understanding you that's kind of the path that evolved?
Yeah, I had skills as a singer, and was doing some very high level sessions in London, and being very well paid for it, to the point where I was like, oh, do I really want to leave this? Because I'm earning good money, you know, touring. And but I was like, no, I have to make a sacrifice. And if I want to get a publishing deal, I'm going to have to start writing songs full time. And so I did. I made that sacrifice, and I was actually offered to go on tour at the same time as I was offered this little publishing deal to do backups for Pink Floyd. And I was
my
like,
God, stop.
yeah. And I was like, no, I want to get a publishing deal. I mean, I was like, I really want to do it. And it was worth more money than my publishing deal, believe me. I was like, nah, if I don't stop here, I'm just going to be a backing singer for the rest of my life. So I did. Yeah.
Wow. So,
wish I'd done the tour now.
don't say that. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of, right? Yeah. That's incredible. So we're just beginning songwriting. You're looking at a room of people that have never ventured out into this area before. I've got a couple of songs under my belt, none that I've ever presented to anybody like you, because I'm like, you know what? I'm not ready for feedback yet. I'm just trying to figure out what it is I'm doing. But we're working through the book, Writing Better Lyrics by Pat Pattison. And so when you go back to like the first songs you were writing, you started writing in childhood, if I recall. Is that correct? So you started writing early. I want to know, take me into the room the day that you wrote Genie in a Bottle, your number 1 hit. Did you walk away from that going, this is it. This is gonna be the one. Did you feel that way, or is this like a regular, Tuesday for you?
No, I think we knew that we had something special. We didn't know it was going to be a hit or anything like that. I think we're like, oh, this is a good one, you know. And my publisher actually came to pick me up, and she heard it, and she was like, oh my God, it's a smash. This is huge. And I was like, really? Okay, whatever, you know. And we subsequently, I went on to Nashville, but the guys that I wrote the song with, and that was walking into a room of two strangers. I'd never written with these guys before. It was our first song together. And it came fairly quickly. We were presented 3 tracks. We chose that track to write to, and I don't normally write to tracks. It was normally from scratch, but David came from incredible background. The System, I don't know whether you guys have heard of the band The System, and he's one half of The System, incredible player, keyboard player, and he had presented this track, and it sounded different, and that's why we went. And I'm so happy we did. You know, I learned a lot from that song, because when it came out, I thought, there's nothing that sounds like that on the radio. It's not going to go, you know.
Right.
And it did, and that's exactly why it went, because it was unique, it was different. That double bass thing going on, the piano riff in the front. It had a strong concept. It had an artist that had pipes and, really owned the song. So it had a lot going for it. And obviously, BMG put a lot of money into her, because it was her first single.
Right. That's incredible. Okay. So when you say writing to a track, again, we're beginning songwriters, and right now we're just kind of focused on lyrics. What is the right way to go about writing a song? Is it better to have the melody first? You just come into the lyrics? How does that all piece together?
There are no rules, Taylor. It's really down to what inspires you. What is your inspiration? Are you inspired by music? If so, you might want to play some chords, or there is something so incredible. Well, for me, guitar is my instrument, and I'm not a great guitarist at all. And when I was called for that interview on the CFO thing, I was like, I'm not really a guitarist. You shouldn't be interviewing me,
Right.
No. You use it as a tool for songwriting. It's okay. And that's exactly what I do. But there is something about this relationship between the hand and your heart, and it's right there, and the vibration of that guitar on your body, and feeling into that sensation. That is really something special for me. I love it. You can start with a melody, you can start with a lyric idea. For me, I've got to the point. So when I was a young writer, I would just channel, I would just literally, whatever I felt, I would just sing and play or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a good place to start. But as I've got more experienced in songwriting, I like to have a concept or write from a title, because the story is much more cohesive. When you land on that title and that point of your story, you're leading the listener to the title. And then there's that, that makes sense. That makes total sense. So I learned that along the way. The songs that I wrote that were just kind of channels streaming, they were inspired ideas, but they weren't crafted ideas. And crafted, I mean going back in and improving melodies and improving contrast and improving your rhyme scheme and improving putting some repetition in there so that it's memorable. All these things along the way are tools and techniques that you use. And I learned on the field. I learned on the field with all my co-writers. I didn't have a mentor or somebody teaching me songwriting. I learned on the field.
Right. That's great. So a concept or a title. I noticed that in my experience, it's been going back to places where I needed to heal and being able to write from, complex grief being just a universal topic. I had dealt with so much grief and I had no way of really even being able to isolate it all and say, I'm going to heal from this. It just had to just be encompassed in something. And one day I was able to write this song, and by putting all of this into this song, it somehow got it out of me and into this concept and really brought a lot of healing to me. But as I've gone and revisited all those places and written all these songs, then I'm like, yeah, it's a lot harder to write songs now. I'm like, gosh, I have no inspiration now. I've healed all my wounds or, whatever. So to get the idea of a concept or a title, have you ever been in a place where you've been talking, you've been listening, all of a sudden you go, oh, that'd be a great title right there. It just like drops out of the air and your brain goes, that's a great title.
All the time, because as a songwriter, you get your radar up, you're listening to conversations, even earwigging on somebody else's conversations, and you hear something and you go, ooh, that's a great concept. Or,
excuse me while I
yeah, songwriters don't say it out loud because everybody's going to use it,
Right. It's just funny how when you have a lyric brain, all of a sudden something like that will really just as a concept go, bam, that's a song title.
And it's just working that muscle, it's just getting that radar up and looking at billboards, looking at life. And everybody here has a story, and everybody is here to tell their story. And but be gentle on yourselves. When you're ready to tell that story, you can't force inspiration, you can't force songwriting, but you can go inward, and you can sit with yourself and shut out the world, and have that time with yourself to really figure out who you are. Who am I? What have I got to say? What do I want to say about my life? What do I want to say about my experiences here? And you've got to remember, you've been trained to shut down your emotions. That's what you guys have been, taught to. But songwriting is the opposite of that. It's learning to be vulnerable and being okay with being vulnerable, and digging so deep that you actually express the depth of those emotions that you're going through. That's vitally important as a songwriter. You've only got 2 or 3 minutes to express and get it all in there, what you're feeling. And I do a lot of mentoring and hear a lot of songs that come my way, and a common theme is people writing songs that are describing what's going on outside of themselves. But I want to know what is going on inside of yourself. And we have this real head-heart balance that we need to try and relay, so that it's not all coming from here, not all coming from, describing stuff out there. We are human, and it's finding that human connection so that other people can connect and buy into your song.
Thank you. I'm sorry for confusing you here.
Around there, where are you going?
My laptop is crashing.
Oh no.
So I'm going to pop out here for a minute and come back in. It's so weird to hear myself.
I can see you. You're good.
I'm going to turn this over to you guys to ask some questions while I take care of my technical difficulties.
Ask me a question, guys. What you got?
Taylor or Pam, what kind of timeline? You know, you talk about writing a song, and obviously we have all the time in the world. But as a professional, what kind of timeline do you have?
It all depends on who I'm writing for or what I'm writing. If I'm writing for an artist that is in town for a day, I've literally got however long they've got to start coming up and hopefully finish a song. Sometimes you have as little as 4 hours to write a song, and I've written a song in 4 hours. But if I'm writing something for my own project, it's a lot longer. You know, we spend a lot longer crafting it. We write it online, actually, because my duo partner is in Hawaii. But it's really all down to what the project is. If I'm writing to a brief for a TV film thing and they need it tomorrow, you got to write it. You got to get it, get it down for tomorrow.
So how hard or how easy is that to be confined as a writer in that amount of time?
Not always easy. Practice, practice makes perfect. I've been in those situations and it's really stressful trying to finish it up, but it's amazing what a time frame, can make you do. And you got to pull that magic out. So yes, it doesn't happen as often now. As far as, okay, you've got 4 hours, but I was just literally in Nashville, and I did. I only had 4 hours to write a song on one of the days, and I had 2 people looking at me, waiting for me to finish the song, and the artist and the producer, who had a little bit to do with it, but because I'm the lyricist and the melody person, they were leaning heavily on me. So, it can be stressful and hard, but you get, the more you do it, the more you get used to, pulling it out of the bag.
Right. Tony, that was a really good question. And if I recall, in our book, Writing Better Lyrics, one of the exercises that they have us do is set a timer for 10 minutes, and you write for 10 minutes. And then when that timer goes off, you're done. And so I think it builds that muscle you're talking about, to where you sit down, you write a song, you just kind of already go into that built-in muscle memory. I don't know what genius you want to use, but that kind of sounds like what you're saying. But to give you guys some context, Pam, tell them, how frequently do you write a song? How many songs do you write in a day or a week or a month? Like, how often are you writing complete songs?
Oh, it's different every month, So I was in Nashville last week. I had a camp, but the week before that, because I haven't been to Nashville in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time. I wrote 7 songs. So it really depends. I split my time between mentoring others, my duo, writing for film, TV, a little bit of writing for artists, because I don't get paid, I don't get paid. I've been writing songs. The only time you get paid is when you get on radio, or, you get a sync. So, our business has changed huge.
Yeah.
And I grew up in well, my successes came in the 90s, when music was doing very well, and songwriters were paid from physical singles and physical records. And when streaming came in, it really hit us big time, because the way the business worked completely changed overnight. Suddenly, our mechanical income fell off a cliff, because there's, I don't know how much of this you know, guys, but a songwriter earns mechanical income from records sold or streamed or downloaded, and performance income. And performance income is radio, TV, live concerts, elevator music, shop music, anything like that. So you get performance income and mechanical income, and that's how it used to work fairly evenly. And then when streaming came in, mechanical income just disappeared, because we didn't know what a stream was, and songwriters weren't protected. We don't have a union, which is a big struggle for us to try and get to law level and fight these Spotifys and Amazons. But we went to Washington. I'm involved in SONA, Songwriters in North America, who are an advocacy group who fought. We actually, it was sitting down at a breakfast meeting one morning going, what the just happened to our royalties this month? And we all thought it was only happening to us. This is when streaming first came in. And we were told by a lawyer, Dina Lapolte, a female law attorney in LA, encouraged us to get off the fence and start fighting for ourselves. And we did. And we learned on our feet. We really didn't know what we were doing, and we had to figure out what everyone's agenda was, and all these different parts of the business, the ecosystem, and went to Washington, and we were instrumental in helping the music modernization pass, which means songwriters are getting a slightly better deal. It's still not as good as it was when we were, buying physical records, but
So this is called SONA, Songwriters in North America, correct?
yeah, you guys want to be a part of it, check it out.
So, yeah, absolutely. And this has been about a decade of advocacy for you, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And so you're saying you've only even managed to gain just a little ground in. So that's just with the streaming. You guys, it sounds like, took a hit overnight.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel then about the introduction of AI and the tools that are being introduced there?
It's terrible. It's terrible. We can say, oh, it's just a tool and it'd be great to help as a tool, but people start getting leaning on those tools so much that they can't write a song on their own. Just as a matter of it, just to try it out. In Nashville, I just wrote a song, and my co-writer said, "Hey, have you checked out Suno?" And I was like, "No." And so he literally put the guitar vocal into Suno, and it spat out, I don't know, 5 different.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I was blown away. And my other co-writer who had sung the song into Suno has an amazing voice, Jamie Floyd, her name is, and she's incredible. And of course, Suno, listen to her voice, but the fake voice that came out of it sounded like her, because it was picking up all her licks, and we're in trouble. I mean, we've been hit in all directions. We can't have and I don't want to complain about it, but we're fighting for our profession, and it's such an incredible profession because it helps so many people on so many levels. And it is the music industry. We're at the foundation. Songwriting is the foundation of the music industry. But greed and corporate greed and technology has a lot to answer for.
Right. So Anna and I facilitate the songwriting sessions here, and we had our opinions about AI coming into the songwriting portion of the program. My thoughts was, okay, it's not so much about the song being the end product. It's going back to the conversation you had earlier about how we are trained to not think one way, we're trained to think a different way. And so in songwriting, I feel we can exercise ourselves back to being people who see and feel in color again and can express emotion again. It's about developing perspective, developing filters. But I felt like, I don't really have a stance on AI if I don't truly understand what it's offering. So I went to Suno, and I had been writing a song, a very personal song for me. But I thought, what's going to happen if I didn't have a melody or anything? I'm just going to drop the lyrics into this and see what happens. And it ruined my song for me because it spit out like 60 different versions of my song, and each one was fantastic. So right away I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's my song. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'll never be able to sing that. I can't sound like that. And I can't play that. So I tried to take my song back. And now I can't hear my song any other way because that dopamine hit or whatever the heck it was locked it into my brain in such a way that now I'm like, dang, I feel like it stole my song from me. So I tell these guys, I'm like, if you're not somebody who's really adequate with music and you don't have access to people who can record demos for you, it's accessible. It's accessibility to something. But then again, will you be able to play this song? Will you be able to express your song? Well, what is the intent of your songwriting and where do you want it to go? But having said that, I follow a lot of creators on TikTok. And one of the guys that I just recently heard said that, in the poll taken, a survey taken, the majority of people are like, yeah, we don't care if it's AI or not. Now, I don't know what that size is. I don't know, exactly where he got that detail. But I would think, given just how music has changed, for example, country music isn't just country music anymore. It's country music with a pop vibe and vice versa. So genres are blurred, we have done all of these over processed kind of things that I could see where if we're going for general population and just those hits, nobody's gonna care. But I think that's why in my heart, I'm pulled more towards indie and I'm pulled more towards the singer-songwriter people. And I do love to go into TikTok and find those people that are genuinely, they're sharing their music off key or what have you with their instrument and their own voice. But I'm not even in your position, and I'm horrified as to what AI is doing to your industry.
You're never going to replace, they might get close, but you're never really going to replace the human, feel.
Absolutely. We're vibrational creatures. We're energetic creatures.
Copy, they're not going to be able to innovate. We have special powers as humans, and we've got to recognize that and use it as a tool if you want to. What I object to is that all of these companies are mining our work without our permission and without any payment. They're throwing in all these, thousands of songs to train their computer to be more human and more
right.
More
so is that a battlefront that Sona is also looking at attacking? Is there a way to protect the industry from AI at all, or is it just in a train?
Sure, you know, AI is big on their list, like a lot of the organizations, but you know, you can't fight these lobbyists that work for these people. They got more money. So you know, there are so many fights going on at law level right now. I think music is probably quite down the list, you know.
Right. So as budding songwriters here and creatives, you know, I would like to turn the conversation more into exploring now a little bit. You've mentioned something called sync, and I know that you've written for movie and film, and I know there's a lot of, besides AI, tools and resources that are available to songwriters as well. Would you mind speaking on those?
For sync, you mean?
Yes, it's two different categories. The sync, what is sync? How does that apply to the music film industry? And then we'll talk about the tools and resources available as songwriters.
Yeah, so synchronization is the long word. Sync is short for synchronization. It really is syncing music to picture. So, you know, it's advertising, it's trailers, it's promos, it's TV and film. And I've been lucky enough to have a few end titles in my life, and you know, those aren't easy to get. I had a Disney film called Princess Diaries, and Young Victoria, and what was the other one? Camp Rock, another Disney thing. So I worked a lot for Disney in the early days, when you were sort of asked by them, commissioned by them to write for a particular spot in the movie or TV show. And now they throw it out to several teams. So they'll throw it out one spot, they'll throw out to 10 teams or so, maybe more, and find the song that is, you know, like audition the song basically. So it's a lot harder to get those spots nowadays. But writing for TV film, you usually get a brief to write to. They give you a short synopsis of what is going on in the picture that you have to write to. And they don't usually like you to be too on the nose lyrically. You know, they don't want you describing what's going on in the picture. They would rather you came from a conversational, you know, point of view, or an emotional sort of expressing an emotion. That's your job as a songwriter for TV, film, advertising. You have to express what the client wants, you know, whatever their goal is, to try and get across this sadness or this, you know, whatever it is. And usually you've only got a few minutes. I mean, in advertising, you've only got a few seconds. So it really is a refined skill, writing for TV and film, and then advertising and trailer. And we've been running these sync camps now since 2020, since the pandemic. Specifically writing to music supervisors will come in. We have 3 people in a breakout room writing, and a music supervisor will come in with their brief. They will give the writer their brief, give them references. So they'll give them musical references of maybe the songs that they've used before, of what the flavor of what they're looking for. And it's usually, they will really encapsulate the mood of the music that they are looking for. And what the sort of lyrical aim is for each. So as far as tools, I think really, I didn't know any tools for
I think you mentioned websites and stuff. Well, I think the tools reference was for more just when we get into the songwriting portion as we're developing our songs. So not so much a sync. I just wanted to be familiarized with sync being a category and an opportunity out there for songwriting, be outside of just writing for the radio. There's film and commercials and other, opportunities for writing as well.
Right. I mean, the great part about sync and a big reason why a lot of songwriters have left the business or pivoted to sync is because you get front end money. If you think of writing for radio or streaming, you're getting back end money, and streaming rates are so low that, you're lucky if you're going to buy a coffee that month, So if you want to earn money from songwriting and you really study sync and get into the nitty gritty of what have I got to do how do I get these briefs? How do I get to meet music supervisors? There's an organization called the Guild of Music Supervisors, and these supervisors, it's their organization, and they have you can buy membership to their organization as a friends of the guild, which is what we are. And they have various different events, awards nights. They have a convention during the summer where you can go and actually sit and listen to these different panels that they do, these workshops that they do. You can meet music supervisors and start getting on their radar. So, it's a lot of building again, building networks and, your
Yeah, there's a lot to the business side of songwriting. I mean, you're literally becoming an entrepreneur when you delve into and all the ins and outs of that industry part of it. In fact, we haven't even really delved into it too much, but just even in that aspect of like publishing, getting with ASCAP and BMI and how to protect your intellectual property and how to copyright and how to brand. Like there's so much of that we will build on as Heroes Encore, as our heroes decide where this path is going to go for them. So it's quite extensive, and definitely it sounds with AI and with streaming that you definitely need to become very strategic in how you approach the industry more so than ever.
Absolutely. So if you are releasing music, any of you, then you must register with a PRO, which is what Taylor just said, BMI, ASCAP, CSAC. And I think there is a small registration fee. I'm not entirely sure. I've been with them a long time. So I'm with PRS, which is from the UK, but in America, I'm ASCAP. So you register with a PRO for your performance income. They're called Performance Royalty Organization, is what PRO stands for. And then if you're releasing music and streaming and you want to get paid for those streams, you need to register with the MLC, themlc.com, and they collect your mechanical income. So if you want to see any money back from there, you got to register first. So mechanical income, performance income. You can't just do one, you got to register with both. Yeah.
Okay, well that's news to me. I I had only been registered with ASCAP. I accidentally stumbled into something. I had just written my first song, and then Hulu Disney reached out and they were like, "We're doing a documentary. We want to tell your story. It's on the 100 years of country music and its influence. Do you have any songs?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I just wrote a song." And they're like, "Great, cool, record it, do all of these things." And I had no idea what to do, where to start. So I kind of leaned on some friends that helped me record it. And then Hulu and Disney was shoving all this paperwork at me and telling me to, like, yeah, you got to get with ASCAP or BMI. And I was like, what? So it was kind of like feet to the fire. I used something like DistroKid or something like that to like upload my music, but that is not the same as the MLC.
That's the thing, with music, there are so many different organizations that collect your different streams of income. So, you'll be owning. So it's complex. It's so complex, and we're not going to go into it today.
Yeah.
But, there's the
to say, if that's a route you're going to take, there are measures you need to be educated on to upload and make sure that you're getting paid for what you're putting out there. For sure. Again, with the songwriting, I think I had asked you this before when I was like, how do I teach songwriting? You had referenced some websites, some tools that could be used. I know we have we've talked about a rhyming dictionary or what have you. We know that people are going to turn to ChatGPT for ideas, and we've cautioned about that. What other resources are out there that our heroes could implement in their songwriting they're doing right now?
Yeah, check out masterwriter.com, you guys. It's a really great platform. I've been using it for 20 years. There's a subscription basis. I think it's $49 a year or something. But you can keep all your lyrics in there. You can even do voice notes on it. It's got phrases. It's the most extensive songwriting tool I've found, and I like using it. When you get sort of stuck or blocked, you can start looking at phrases and go from the end word that you want to use at the end of a phrase, and they'll have last word, rhymes. And I think you can use it for a month or something for free. So check that out. And I think there's one called, let me have a look on my phone. There's one called Songcraft or something like that. We had them at our camp. Songwriter. Songcraft is another tool. Songcraft.lo, I think it is. Look, you want to use a tool that is not cutting off your own brain and inspiration, something that is going to enhance all that stuff that's coming down to you. It's a real balance, because sometimes I will go into my head and be in masterwriter.com and be looking for something, and then I've sort of left my creative space. And you want to keep going back to, what is the point of this song, and why is this an important story, and what is the emotion behind the story? What exactly am I trying to get at here? Keep going back to that. Put that at the top of your page if you have to. What am I talking about here? Because there's so many times I've been lost on the way down of a song, and you just get so deep into it. I love the process, but you just get so deep, and it's so easy to get lost in knowing what you're trying to get across. What are you trying to say here? What are you trying to express?
Right.
And are you coming from the heart, or are you coming from the head?
Right.
I try to use, and I call it my 360, I try to use a little bit of imagery, a little bit of conversation, a little bit of emotion. What am I, coming back to that emotional place of connecting with my listener. I know you're writing these songs for yourselves, but at the end of the day, you want other humans to listen to them, right? You want other humans to go, oh, I feel that, I get that, I know exactly what you're going through. So you have to come from that human place. What do humans have that other things don't? We have senses. We talk through our humanness, and if you use those things that we have in common, which are our senses, our hearts, our bodies, our minds, that's where we're going to connect.
Right.
From that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we did an exercise where we put a basket, a most random item, a basket in the middle of the table, and said, okay, write about it. And then the example for me that I wanted to pull from this was that we all viewed this basket from our own perspectives. Everything that we have ever learned about life, every story we've ever heard, every experience we've ever had helped us view that basket. And so where we had so many things that were similar, there were also many other things that were vastly different because you're unique. You have your own unique take on this basket.
Yeah.
So those are incredible resources. I saw a lot of people taking notes, so I'm happy to see they're jumping on. Let's talk about your songwriter camps. What are those like when you host a songwriter camp? What does that entail?
So we started out doing these songwriting camps in person in 2018. I have a business partner, Richard Harris, who is English guy. And we had actually met at the Hawaii Songwriting Festival in 2008 and had started writing together. And I had been asked to run somebody else's academy in LA, and it scared me a little. I was like, oh, I don't want to take this on. It's too much of a big job. If anything, I want to own my own situation and run my own time. And I love songwriting so much that I would not have time to do that. So, if I'm going to do something like this, then I want to make it just a part of what I do. And so I reached out to Richard and we started talking about it. We talked about it for a year and started looking at some different venues. And we hosted 3 camps. We're about to do the 4th one. And this is in Palm Springs. And then the pandemic happened and we were like, oh, what do we do now? So we went online and started running these sync camps, trying to offer independent writers an opportunity to earn some money at the end of it. But these were professional songwriters of a certain level, their advanced level, but people that maybe, because the business has got a lot harder to get into. It's a lot more saturated, lots of people writing songs, lots of people pitching for these opportunities. We trying to get into getting a publishing deal. Those first steps of being an artist and a producer and a songwriter are harder these days, getting heard by these people in the industry, meeting supervisors. So we wanted to offer those kind of things. And we started it. We just had our 14th one last week. And it's been going really, really well online. And it works online because we have people from all around the world that take part in them. Even if they have to work through the night in their time zone. But it really is teaching the craft of songwriting in both songwriting and sync. And we're both very passionate about the craft, of songwriting and, about helping people present their songs if they're going to present them to professionals at festivals and expos, that they present these songs when they're ready, not when, they may be packaged beautifully and marketed very well, whatever, but the song's not there.
Right.
So it really is about making the best possible song, helping them do that if that's what they're looking for.
Right. That's exactly why I wouldn't bring a song to anybody, because I'm like, oh, I like the song where it's at, but I know that I could take it to a seasoned professional and they could really make this song awesome.
We do a monthly meet and critique every month at the end of the month. It's $50. Come along and see, play a song, and we will give you a pretty darn extensive feedback on what the problems are in the song. Oh, you need to connect the lyric more. Your melody needs this, or whatever the details are. And we have regulars that come from different countries. And they sit in and they hear everybody's feedback. So they're actually learning not only just on their song, but they're learning the feedback and hearing a lot of the same things said week after week. And it's a great way of sort of putting those skills techniques into your own songs.
Well, that's fantastic. And I've seen you post on your pages, and guys, yes, go follow all of her social media, go check her out. It's very fun to see the participation that you get for those songwriters. It's just, I guess the thing that just makes me happy is to see that there's still so many creatives in the world striving and really looking to put their art out there. And I just personally, I just love that. I love being around other creatives.
Me too.
Let's see. I've been hogging you this whole session, so I do want to offer up the opportunity for my mates here to ask their questions. Guys, Anna, I'll let you kind of control the room there. I'm opening it for you guys.
I think Wayne had a question earlier. Wayne, do you want to unmute your microphone and ask that question? You
Sure.
raise your
Can you hear
hand?
me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. First of all, I want to comment that AI is usurping our souls. So that's my opinion on AI. You said you were a lyricist and melody person. And when you submit your music, do you write it out or chart it? Or do you just record it and copyright the recording?
Yeah, so my publisher just needs my lyric and needs the demo recording. So I guess in the older days, and in fact, I've been published since 1992, and I've never been asked to have the music written out. So they used to do that.
Okay, that's the only question I have.
Thank you, Wayne.
Tony?
Yeah. Song bits and pieces. Now you said, earlier we talked about, listening to other people's conversations and, hey, that'd be a great title for a song. However, when you got bits and pieces of a song, do you immediately try to make a song out of that? Or if you have a melody, let's say, because I've got bits and pieces of all kinds of stuff that I've started or looked at or thought about, and melodies that I've had tucked away that just are waiting for words or are waiting for music. And what's the best way to attack that? Is the best way to attack the whole thing, or to just, when it comes together, it comes together?
Good question. I would really look for the story behind those bits and pieces. What is the story you're trying to tell here? And what is the main point that you're trying to boil down to? What is the landing point? What is that takeaway that you want your listener to hear? And go from there, because I often write my choruses first. I don't always write my verses first. I will most likely write the chorus because I'm trying to attack a concept. Attack is probably the wrong word. I'm trying to figure out if that concept will work with that landing point title. And if it doesn't, I don't want to spend hours and hours going down a dark hole to discover. I really can't make it like, I can't make it have that impact that really makes my heart go, wow, that I feel that. And that is your job as a songwriter, to make anyone who's listening to that song feel something. So make sure you go to those bits and pieces, and where is the piece of gold there that will make me feel and others feel something? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Brian?
I was just curious a little bit more about your like lyric writing process, because you kind of mentioned like starting from a title or a theme, and then you just mentioned like writing a chorus first, and then do you have kind of like a structure in mind? Are you like working from a hook? And then like when you start bringing in rhymes, and then like how much do you edit that down, or like how much time do you want to spend on that before you're like, okay, this is just kind of a dead end?
Great question. Yeah, all different scenarios, every song, you know, that you write. Because if I'm writing that song on my own, I can spend forever. If I'm writing that song with somebody else, and they're, you know, they're either on keys or guitar or a track, I'm more limited into, you know, I feel like the chameleon in the room, where I've just got to fit into whatever scenario, make the song work. And I would probably, you know, it's important to find, I've got to this point in my career where I want to, I've got thousands of songs and I've said, you know, repeated stories and stuff before, but I want to say something a little bit different. I want to catch the ear of the listener from a different angle. And it's those songs that you hear on the radio, or, you know, on Spotify or wherever you listen to music, that stand out to you as like, whoa, what a different way of looking at it. And you know how a photographer will take a photo, and sometimes they'll take it from a different perspective, not the just front and center, you know. I look at songwriting in that way, and I take my story first. I take my story. What is the story I'm trying to tell? What is the takeaway? What is the main point? What am I trying to get across here? Figuring out what my title could be. What, you know, what is my title gonna, what are different options of these titles, these landing points, the angle I'm going to tell the story from. I don't want a story that is one-dimensional, that everything is rainbows and, you know, everything's beautiful and everything's beautiful and everything's beautiful, and there's no dimension to it. You know, it's like life. How do we know our good times if we don't have bad times? So we have to have those stories weaved through that you know, maybe you come from this difficult storyline into finding some hope, and it's when you find the hope that, you know, you have this different dimension. So you want to find opposites to make, when you get to that light really, really shines. You don't want a story that's one-dimensional. So I think I've lost my thread a little bit, but
is there a formula? Is there like a mechanical formula here that we should be working from as you build your verse? When do I put in the bridge? How do I get to the chorus? Is there a go for you?
not really. I mean, not every song has a pre-chorus or a bridge. You know, everything's different. That's why I go backwards. I write my chorus first, and then I go back, and I know how much room I've got to set the story up. Okay, who are the characters? The what, the where, the why, the who, you know. what I need to say. I've only got 4 lines or 8 lines to set up the story before I get to the gold, my message, which is the chorus. And you know, you figure out how much time, what are the most important things that you need to get across in this story, whether it's metaphor, whether it's, you know, conversational kind of lyrics, the setting up the scene, setting up who these people are, setting up the emotion. There's a lot. It's intricate, you know. If you think about story writers, book writers, they've got a lot of time to set up their characters.
Yeah.
In a song, you've only got 3 minutes to tell your story.
Brian, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess just one follow-up question is, I was just, our last chapter was about rhyming and everything, and it's still, I'm
Yes.
so black and white. I'm stuck in like this like perfect rhyme kind of. That's how it needs to sound in my head, and then just when you read it out loud, it's like, wow, that's just a mediocre lyric. So, like, what is your kind of process in rhyming, just to kind of make your rhyme sound even better? Or how do you introduce those into songs as you're writing?
Yeah, gosh, it's so second nature to me now that it's just really following my instincts on rhyme schemes. And the more you do it, the more you'll sort of feel it, whether it feels like it's a perfect rhyme or just a imperfect rhyme, a near rhyme. I've noticed what's trending now is imperfect rhyme quite a bit now on the radio, certainly that I'm hearing. So it really just tinker with your song until it feels follow your instincts. And this is something as a songwriter and a human, right, that we don't often do as people. We don't follow our instincts. Go really ask yourself the question, okay, does it feel instinctively right to me here? Where do I need to rhyme? Do I need to rhyme on the you know, the 1 and 3 or the 2 and 4, or do I just need to rhyme on 2 of those lines? Structure is important and melody is important. I want you to remember that when you are setting up your verses, it's the first time anyone has heard these melodies. So what you are doing is setting up patterns for people to remember. So you don't want to set up a pattern on line 1 and then another pattern on line 2 and then another pattern on line 3 and another pattern on line 4, because people are not going to remember that. You want to set up simple patterns that the stanzas, and I mean, I go down to counting syllables to make it feel, oh, that's memorable. It gets in your head. By the second line, you've done 2 lines with that same pattern. Okay, that's in my head now. I got it. I can sing it back to you. That's what your job as a songwriter is, to help other people sing those patterns back to you. So, you know, you're really creating patterns that you want people to remember. And repetition is especially important tool. I would say songwriter tools, top of the list is repetition and rhyme. Rhyme sweetens the listening experience. Repetition makes it more memorable for people to listen to. Contrast. This is super important. Contrast would be my number 3. When you finished your song and you go through your song melodically first, let's just go melodically. Make sure that you're not stepping on the chorus melody in your verses and your pre-choruses. You want your chorus to be your gold, the thing that really stands out, your chorus. So you really don't want to step on the toes of the melody too much. So make sure it builds, maybe, or even, you know, even if you have to do a higher verse to come down into your chorus, melodically, you want to use different notes in the chorus. And I'm talking contrast and rhythm to help people remember and to set your sections differently. Use contrast in the rhythm of your verses and your pre-chorus and your chorus, because our ears tire of the same thing over and over and over. So if you're starting on beat 2 in the verses, you don't want to start in beat 2 in your pre-chorus or beat 2 in your chorus. You want to maybe start on the 1 or the 3 or the 4 or the upbeat, so that your rhythm is different. There's that balance and flow. You want to, if you're creating tension in your melodies, you're talking about some dark times or some heavy things, and you've got more sort of rhythmic phrasing in your verses. Then when you get to the chorus, you want to maybe release those notes so that the singer can feel those notes, so that you get that tension and release moment in your phrasing. And then there's the lyric. You want the contrast in your lyrics. So maybe you've been talking about that more difficult times, and you're getting to the hopeful part in the chorus, and then there's that release moment with your lyric. So it's kind of a 3-pronged approach: rhythmic, melodical, and lyrical contrast. Make sure that these are all happening in your song if possible, because that will help the listener and it'll help your song be more cohesive and more interesting.
And I think we all can think of those songs that we're belting out in the car, or those songs that get us through those really challenging times, or even help us celebrate the really good times. And they're providing just those elements that you're talking about, especially like the tension and release that you talk about, because for sure, I think we've all felt that release in the song. And I've never really put it in those terms before, but for sure we're releasing, whether we're screaming or whatever it is we're doing. It is, I've been to 3 different concerts this month and or last month. And just the whole point in these concerts is we're in this collective release. We're all screaming these choruses, and we're, and it's just such a dynamic, wonderful human connection and emotion and opportunity to really feel, to just feel.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got 2 other tips that I want to help you guys with. And that is, it's something that I didn't think about for a very long time. And then somebody said, listen to the way you speak. Everyone has got a different speaking voice and a different flow in the way they pause at different places. What is your uniqueness in your language, in your spoken language? How do you speak?
Wow.
Bring that into your writing style, because that is unique to you. That's a really good one. Because if you can carve out a style for yourself, that this is that's Taylor, because that's the way she speaks, and that's the really, she's got her own uniqueness. And the other thing is tense and tone. And another trick that I do, whenever I finished a song, I might start in the first person, but I will go through every song that I write and I will put it in the second person as a trial, and then I'll put it in the third person, and then I'll see, oh, is this stronger in the second person? Is this stronger in the first person? Is that part, maybe the verse is stronger in the first person, and then the chorus is better in the second person. So that's a really good trick, because sometimes perspective, coming from a different perspective, will make the message a lot stronger.
Those are really great tips. Anybody else? Any more questions? We're really taking advantage of your time here this morning. So valuable.
Yeah,
Chris?
I got a quick question for you. When you write a song, you just finish it, okay? You say you don't write out, you usually record it. So do you go, how many times do you go over that song until you feel it's right?
that's such a good question.
Well, that, I mean, you know, some songs you get it done, you go, I love it, but maybe I should go on a little bit and change the wording a little bit to make it a little bit more exciting, you know? So,
Yeah, that is such a great question. And I'm a tinkerer. I tinker and tinker and tinker until, you know, I drive myself crazy. But it's not until you put down that vocal in the vocal booth that you know how those words really sing and sound. Because sometimes you could be, you know, you could have been singing it in the room or whatever, and then you go put it down on mic, and there's something that just doesn't feel right. It doesn't, it's too sibilant, or the words don't go together, or they just feel cheesy, or something feels off. And it's not done until it's done. So I even tinker with it in the vocal booth, and until it's recorded and I'm listening to it back and then mixing it, it's not done.
and then one question, now you say that as soon as you come up with the hook or what the song is about, you put a melody to it. Now, do you do that so you can play that, and then this is going to bring more words to you by playing the melody as for your verses and stuff? Does that kind of help you do it too?
I usually write the melody first.
Do it for before you have anything else written out.
I might have a concept, and figuring out, you know, if I'm writing to a track, I want to know what that track makes me feel. I want to sit with it. I want to sit with it a while and go, it kind of feels happy. You know, I need to write a happy song. You know, I don't know whether you guys have heard of the word prosody. Prosody is the marriage of the top line, the melody and lyric over the music, fitting that mood together. And it doesn't always match. There are exceptions to the rule out there, but I want that feeling. I want to get in touch with that feeling of what that music makes me feel. Even chords, you know, I love those kind of rub note chords, those very melancholy kind of, if you will, chords that make me go to that place, and I want to match that mood with lyrics. So I will usually write a melody first and then fit the lyric into it. And if the lyric doesn't, you know, I don't want to shoehorn a lyric into a melody. If I really like that melody, I'll have to find another word that's only that certain syllable to fit into that melody.
Great
Melody.
question.
Yeah.
We are the product of the music that we have listened to. So how can we, when we're capturing a melody or lyrics, how can we vet those songs to ensure that we're not stepping on another lyricist or songwriter's work? Because, you know, I was talking with a songwriter once, and he was noodling on his guitar, and he tells the story about, I was noodling on my guitar, and it was very melancholy sounding, and I was really loving it. And then his songwriting partner walked in and said, congratulations, you just rewrote Stairway to Heaven. So how can we avoid that? Are there some tools beyond just having, because we are products of what we listen to, how can we prevent our music from being a replica? Are there search engines or something we can put the music and the lyrics into to kind of compare them to what's out there, or do we just have other people listen to it?
Yeah, you're gonna have to Google that. I think Shazam. You could Shazam the melody, maybe. I don't know. You're gonna have to Google that one. I've been in that situation so many times where it's like, man, this sounds familiar. What is it? Actually, while I was in Nashville, that happened. Somebody was playing me a melody. I'm like, no, that's something else. But yeah, there are millions of melodies out there. It's almost impossible. But if you are in doubt, then I am sure there is an app out there that deals with that. And there are musicologists, obviously they cost money, but yeah, there's got to be an app. Somebody has made an app out there, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Great
Sorry I
question.
can't answer that. Yeah. But
Anybody else? Because I have a list of questions if nobody else has any questions. Anybody else in there? I don't want to hog up all the time. All right. One of my questions is there a different approach in writing a country song rather than a pop song? Like, how do you go about genres? Is there a different approach in your genre writing?
Yeah, of course. Well, references, if you're writing with an artist, it helps because, as a lyricist and melody person, you don't want to be writing something that's not within their range. You don't want to be writing something that they're not going through. That's very helpful. But yes, I would listen to references. What kind of song do I want to write today? Okay, well, we have to write a Dan and Shay song, or we have to write whoever it is. Let's listen to those kind of references.
Right. So it's just a style. It is a style, though, that you kind of are
Definitely.
mindset.
Phrasing, melodies, yeah, very much so.
I want to know, who are you listening to right now? Who are you belting out in the car?
Oh my gosh. Oh, let me open my Spotify. I said the dreaded word, Spotify.
Number one, Taylor Ullum. Oh, I knew it. You're a fan.
God.
While you're looking that up, another question that I have is, how do you like the sound of your own voice?
Oh my God, don't even get me going.
Okay.
I think we are all, well, a lot of people are very self-critical of themselves. I'm one of those people. I started making a record about, I don't know, I think it was 15 years ago, and I still haven't got to the end of it. I stopped to work on other people's projects, and I think it's a confidence thing, I've got to this point where I'm actually releasing music under Eva.
Yeah.
My lovely friend Sarah Bethany, and I love what we're doing together. That feels honest. It feels, I think I spent so many years trying to fit in that I didn't realize that I was supposed to stand out.
Oh, that's good.
And do who I am, and not be afraid of who I am, and do me. I wanted to, I don't know, fit into a certain market or leave that behind. The biggest mistake I ever made was trying to write songs to fit into a market. Just do something that's unique and it will be heard, do something different, stand out, don't fit in. Who wants to fit in?
Right. And back to your group, Eva, check out the song I Forgive You, because I really like it.
Thanks so much. I'm a big fan. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Jacob Collier, a young English boy. He's probably in his 20s now, but Quincy Jones and Toby Hancock just kind of discovered him online, and he literally went viral overnight. He did a version of Stevie Wonder's, gosh, what was the song?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he is the most musical genius I have ever heard in my entire life, and I've got, I love so many people out there. This guy is from another planet. He is literally, he can play any instrument. His mom is a violin conductor, a violinist, composer, who is just incredible in her own right. Brought up her 3 kids as a solo mom, and he blew Herbie Hancock and Quincy Jones absolutely blew their socks off, and they were sitting in the back of his studio when he was making his record going, what's that chord, what is that chord, because he's a jazzer, you know, he plays all these amazing jazz chords. And he has, do yourself a favor and watch In My Room on YouTube. It's Jacob Collier, Collier. So inspiring and such an incredible young man. He goes around the world doing these concerts where he gets the audience to take part. They are his choir, and he conducts them. He's amazing.
Was the song Overjoyed? Was that the Stevie Wonder song?
No. Don't You Worry About a Thing was the song he did. He did another. It's an a cappella version he did of it, I think, originally. But check him out online. He's something else. I listen to so many different types of music. I love John Mayer as a guitarist and an artist. Who else? There's an amazing young group called Truesdale. They're kind of country pop. I love Lady Gaga. I love Lennon Stella. Geez, who else?
You just got your playlist on like new artists, or you kind of listen to this stuff over and over?
I listen to new artists. I think a great thing to do is to listen to a couple new artists a week if you can, and listen to their body of work and try and figure out, okay, what is this artist about? You know. Was listening with actually last night was looking at the Paul McCartney documentary on Amazon. And you know, watching people record his songs, doing a new album as a thank you to him for what he's contributed to music. And it's a great one to end on here. You know, it's important what your musical references and influences are in your music, and to bring those into your music. My biggest sort of influences were country music and ABBA, and you know, it's strange now looking back and going, oh wow, you know, that really shaped me as a writer, and pop melodies and those stories. And you know, then I got into listening to a lot of black music and Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind and Fire and all those amazing, growing up in that time of listening to so many incredible artists with such great musicianship. There's still great musicianship out there. We've just got to dig for it. You know, we just got to find it.
Yeah, they're just not being elevated and commercialized the way, the mainstream stuff is being done, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Pam, your time has been incredibly valuable, and I have really kept you on here for a long time. And I could keep talking to you and asking you all, because I just keep writing question after question. I gotta cut it off. But you're just such a wealth of information, and this was really valuable to us as a group. I know these guys here are probably sick of me talking. One more time, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, good.
I think the run here is pretty good. Thank you very much for your time. It's a valuable commodity in short supply, and we recognize that.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. And you know, all I can say is I just hope that you find joy in songwriting. And you know, it's such an amazing, it's been a therapy to me in my lifetime, and all the hardships that I've been through, to express myself through songwriting, and it's saved me. So I hope it saves you too.
Well, Pam, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your holiday season. It is that time of the year already. So again, it was very kind of you to take this time today.
It
So
was my pleasure, and lots of love to you all. Happy holidays.
thank you.
You're awesome.
You guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
That was wow.
Anything, because I thought, oh, no, I'm doing.
Oh, I got you. I got really sorry.
No, I could have handled that better. Thank you, Bill. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I'm about done.
I didn't realize she was like, I didn't realize when we were.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,